This is Switched On.
Hello and welcome back to the Switched On podcast. This is your host, Akshay Koti Bhaskar, and for those of you who are new, this podcast is dedicated to those who find themselves struggling with the ominous task of choosing a career. Regardless of whether you're one of those people or not, and if you would like to ease the process of figuring out what career is truly right for you, or simply gain a more knowledgeable and informed perspective, look no further. Every session will present a different job from a different sector, and explore exactly what each job entails, as well as the required interests to work in the field. Today, we have a very special guest coming from Bloomberg, which is one of the largest corporations in the media and internet industry, and is located in New York. Bloomberg is the world's primary distributor of financial data and a top news provider of the 21st century. A global information and technology company, they have a powerful network of data, ideas, and analysis, which customers around the world rely on to deliver accurate, real-time business and market information that helps them make important financial decisions. Mr. Mustafa Halela has been working in vendor management and global data sourcing at operations at Bloomberg for 24 years. Throughout his career, he has honed his vendor and data management skills and advanced to regional leadership level, progressing from head of data equities to head of data management, before arriving where he is today. His main contribution to Bloomberg is helping the organization to manage data more effectively, enabling the business to further expand and grow. Notably, he has been very successful in building, maturing, and scaling functional capabilities, and has established data acquisition/equities and vendor management functions in the Americas, MESA, and APAC regions. With a wealth of knowledge and expertise, he spearheads operational efficiencies, supports sustainable growth and expansion, and builds new data products that reinforce value proposition. Welcome, Mr. Halela, and thank you very much for being here today on this podcast. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Firstly, can you provide a brief overview of the role you play within the organization, and what are the main responsibilities and tasks you handle on a daily basis?
Akshay, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for doing this.
No worries.
And it's great to see you again. My name is Mustafa Halela. I work for Bloomberg. I have been with Bloomberg for the last 22 years. My entire career at Bloomberg has been centered around the data organization.
Right.
Bloomberg collects a lot of data, a lot of public data, private data on financial companies, all catered towards financial analysis. So my entire career has been focused around the financial data collection aspects of my role. And I've been fortunate to be around with Bloomberg in different locations. I started my career in New York, and then I moved with them to Singapore. And then finally, I moved with them to Dubai, all trying to set up data operation and trying to gather data. I'm currently focused on, in my role, I'm focused on collection and analysis of data globally out of our centers in India and Asia and European centers, right? So I look at all of the data collection piece.
Sure.
Once the data gets collected, it's put into the Bloomberg terminal, and then the analysis and everything starts. So I look at that raw collection piece that we do with our vendor partners.
Earlier in your career, I believe you ended up spearheading the movement towards Dubai and the essential expansion in this area. How did that go for you, and do you think it was an ambitious project that you started out with?
That was amazing. So I think it was 13 years ago. I was based in Singapore, and we created a new regional office in Dubai. We saw the Middle East as a major center of growth, and we wanted to take advantage of that market.
Sure.
So we created a hub in Dubai, which was a regional hub in Dubai. And at that point, I was asked to move over to the Dubai region to primarily, again, bring in my expertise and build a team around data collection in the region. How do you go out? How do you work with statistics office, data centers in the government, in the private sector? How to take care of stuff like the eyeball rate that was being calculated in the UAE. All that was more advantageous to get it done in the UAE, and that's why we moved here. And that was the primary analysis of moving here.
Okay. In addition to that, how did you initially become interested in this field of profession?
It's funny you say that, because I went to school not knowing anything about data analysis and data collection or any of it. My when I graduated back then, there was no such thing as a data scientist. Data scientist is a new thing that has come up right now. Data analysis is a new thing that has come up right now. Back in the days, there was a financial degree, which is what I did. I did a finance degree, and then along with the finance degree, I did something called Management Information Systems. I don't even think it's there anymore. But MIS, Management Information System, is pretty much a stepping stone into databases. Okay, so before the prior world of big cloud and all of that, they had very simple technology around databases. Okay, so I studied that at university, and that's what got me interested in data. So the combination of financial and data tech analysis was very interesting to me. And luckily, I found a job at Bloomberg that does exactly those two things, financial and data analysis, which really got my curiosity going.
Would you say you were always skilled at those subjects, or did you have to learn it over time?
No, I wasn't skilled at the subject. No, I went to school pretty much, doing everything the normal stuff, science, maths, English, all of that. I wasn't skilled. I had no idea this career even existed for me. When I went to university, that's when I really thought that, and I saw opportunities when I was interviewing for jobs. I looked at it and I said, data management and data analysis is a career path that I could potentially take. And that's what got me interested with it. But no, as far as skill sets, no, I had to develop those skill sets. I wasn't born with it, of course.
Can you describe any common misconceptions or myths about your job and industry that students may have, and perhaps debunk any?
Yeah, I think it's changed over time. When I first started my career, and I would tell people that I was doing data analysis and I was doing data management, it was the biggest misconception is, you're an accountant, or you're a data geek, or you are you're not a cool person. You're just like into analysis and.
I guess awareness wasn't really there at the time.
There was no awareness, so it was essentially being data scientist was not a cool job. It was a very nerdy job. People thought you were a nerd, numbers kind of a person. They didn't realize that you could have the social skills and the awareness skills and all of that, and still be interested in data analysis and numbers. It's changed over time. That is now data science analysis. Data scientists have now become a cool role, and that is helping the industry dramatically. There's more awareness to it, and it's now.
I guess it has an influx of people now because people understand it more.
Correct. If people understand the value of it. Earlier, there was no, people used to run businesses. Financial companies used to make analysis based purely on two things. One was relationship and the other was feelings, right? What has changed over the last 20 years, I would think, is a lot of companies are now running their business based on data. And they want to see data. They want to analyze the data. They want to look at the numbers. They want to make decisions based on that number. So that has changed dramatically over the last 20 years. And that has helped a lot for the industry.
And what are the biggest challenges that you face in your role, and how do you usually overcome those?
So our biggest challenge, and there has been a challenge even in the Middle East as well, right? In the major markets like Europe and US and all of that, it's still easier. But in the Middle East, the biggest challenge is to make people understand the value of their data. Most people don't want to share their data. Most people don't want to give out their data. And I'm talking more financial analysis. So there are two kinds of data, right? One is the publicly available data, which is your income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement. Every company has to report it by law. That gets reported, it's fine. But then the other challenge is when companies really try to make enhance fundamentals, or they try to change their data, or the statistics bureau in the world where they're trying to create GDP numbers and make changes on that. To get companies, organizations, and governments to start thinking about presenting their data in a valuable fashion, that is the biggest challenge.
Sure.
That is where we struggle the most in kind of figuring out, hey, you need transparency in this data. You need to show the world how you came up with this. I'll give you an example, and I don't know if I'll get hammered on this or not. But we worked a lot before with government organizations in the region to say, hey, can you give us transparency of your data? How did you come up with this number? How did you come up with this number? Real estate numbers, employment numbers, unemployment numbers, all those numbers. How do you come up with this? And they would come up and say, oh yeah, my unemployment number is XYZ. And we are like, okay, show us how you got to that. That was the biggest struggle, right? Where people are not really transparent and kind of saying what led to that particular number.
How do you usually overcome that though?
It's a challenge, but I think here's what happens. Building relationships, that helps, and that's primarily what we are here in the region for as well, right? If you think about traditionally, if you think about data, right, you think about somebody in the back office, somewhere in the world, particularly in India, sitting in India or China, just plugging in numbers, right, in the back office. That's also a misconception, right? To have somebody sit at the back office and crunch numbers or convince people to give them numbers is not really the ideal model. You have to really be with the government agencies, the stats bureaus, the clients over here who are consuming those data. That you have to sit down with them and understand how their model works, right? You have to work with them, and that's how you overcome those challenges of them not being transparent with the data. A lot of data nowadays, if you look at the trading models, right? They're all very strong algorithms. Okay, gone are the days where somebody sits and says, "Oh, I'm going to buy Amazon or Tesla at this price." Those days are gone. Okay, almost 80% of all trading in the financial market happens through algorithm trading.
Right.
Algorithm trading, if you look at what algorithm trading needs, it needs data.
Sure.
Without the data, the algorithms don't work, right? And that's the piece that you have to understand, right? Where does the data go into the algorithm? How do you kind of look into that numbers, and what decisions are fed out because of those algorithms, right? Being in face-to-face with your clients, with your customers, helps you in overcoming that, for sure.
Okay. And speaking of the helpful relationships that you mentioned earlier, how crucial is networking within your industry? And do you have any advice that students can explore and employ to build meaningful connections?
And networking is important, not just in this industry, in any industry. That's how you build your career. That's how we kind of looked at it. My career was solely and completely built upon deep connections within the company. Okay, and that's how you solve everything.
Yes.
So this whole return to office kind of thing, we understand that because we were able to network and build our careers primarily by going into the office every single day. If you're not in the office every single day, you're not able to meet your next person or somebody who needs some help or somebody who has an idea which you can collaborate with. Those are things that you need to kind of really, really look into to build your network. It's important. It's important in any industry. And it's also important over here, right? Networking is the number one thing that you will find in your career that'll help you do the next best thing.
Okay. And could you share a few key lessons or principles that have guided you throughout your data analysis career?
So the main principle is be transparent, right? That's the number one principle that you kind of especially within data analysis, right? Be transparent on how you came up with that number.
Okay.
Be transparent why you need to change that number, right? be transparent if you screwed up in coming up with that number and have to change it for something. So there are lots of organizations who will come up with, for example, they do a lot of like scoring. Okay, the major thing is calculating indexes, right? For stock market. A lot of indexes are calculated on a lot of time, and companies will change the way they calculate it, and they don't even tell the people around them that we change the way we calculate calculating them.
So honesty is the best policy.
Be transparent. Yeah, that's what you need to kind of do. That's the biggest principle, right? And the other thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is understand the way your clients and your customers use that data, right? Now, and I love giving this example. You can kind of go out in the world and collect the number of pencils in the world, right? But what uses that? Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Who cares how many pencils there are in the world, right? It doesn't make any difference to anybody's life, right? However, if you can tell me, the number of pencils being produced in a factory in China and where it's being shipped to and who are the consumers of those pencils, that's valuable information.
So you have to give a use for the information you're providing.
Exactly. That's the useful information, right? That don't just tell me, oh yeah, there are 15 million pencils in the world. Doesn't care. Nobody cares. But if you can tell me that, this particular factory produces 5 million out of those 15 million pencils, and they ship it primarily to a country in Africa who consumes the most number of pencils in the world, that becomes information that you can act upon, that you can use upon, you can invest upon. Right?
Okay.
That's it.
For students wishing to apply for a job in your industry, what advice would you give about educational and career paths? For instance, what degree should they attain?
So, I think everything now, there are two things that you absolutely must have in the industry. One is obviously a degree or a liking for finance. You need to understand what a bond is, what a stock is, what a derivative product is. That's the basic nature. So the first thing you kind of do is get some sort of degree or understanding of finance. The second piece is any sort of technology, in terms of, and it doesn't have to be coding. I'm not talking about just hardcore coding technology, but any kind of technical skills, Python, database management, or any sort of, more advanced than just your basic Excel and PowerPoint and all that. That helps dramatically in the industry. So I guess in our industry, the two biggest skills that we look for is number one, obviously a financial background. Number two is some sort of technology background. So if you can marry and combine two of them together, then you become an ideal person. You become a unicorn, where everybody wants you because you have the technical skills and you have the financial skills, and you combine them. That's amazing.
So it's powerful.
That's powerful, right?
Yeah. And with the increasing emphasis on sustainability and social responsibility, how is your industry adapting? And what impact does it have on career choices and opportunities?
So that's a big question. It's a good question because Mike Bloomberg himself is the UN ambassador for climate change. In the world. So he himself is very, very active in the whole climate change. Having said that, there is a ESG product which is very popular now, environmental, social, and governance. That used to be something which was just, hey, is this company environmentally good or bad and stuff like that. Yeah. Now that's evolved. That has now attracted the financial market towards creating companies that are more environmentally friendly. The governing factors are much more responsible over there. So the environmental is affecting not just the way companies operate, but the way people are investing into the company.
Sure.
People are actually making money out of the ESG now. So it's no longer just a feel good, hey, this is good to have. Are you environmentally good? Are you socially good? And it's good. No, you're now making money out of this environmental factor. So that is affecting a lot. Of course, it's great for the environment, but it's also great that now this is coming into a mainstream financial product, and it's not just something, an environment is something good for the companies to have. It is becoming mainstream.
Speaking about these positive aspects, are there any other particular aspects of your job that you find especially rewarding or fulfilling?
Well, the ability to work across cultures, right? Is to work across countries, to work across cultures, to deal with people from different environments, to deal with different culture. That is really rewarding, right? It is great to be able to talk to somebody, and now the world has become so small, but talk to somebody in Tokyo, London, New York, and Dubai at the same time on one conference call. It's amazing to see that. We've come a long way over there. It's really rewarding to be able to look in and work with people from around the world.
Okay. And do you have any personal advice as to what skills or qualifications are necessary to succeed in your position?
Well, the personal advice is essentially, do the best at what you're doing right now. Okay. We come across people who want to keep looking at what can I do more? What can I do more? Where can I go else? I've been in one company for 22 years, but I don't think I've had a single day which is the same.
Yeah.
Okay, you can still, the advice is you can be in an organization for a long time and still be doing different things, still be pushing yourself, still be doing more worthwhile stuff and improving yourself every day. You don't have to keep looking for a new job or a new place or a new country all the time. You can be in one organization and continue to just reinvent yourself on a regular basis.
Yeah. And how do you strike a balance between your personal life and your career? And do you have any advice for maintaining this balance?
Tricky question. My life revolves around the work, right? So if you ask my wife, I spend very little time at home and personal life, but it's important to do. And we strike the right balance. There are always companies now who are willing to be more flexible. So for me, and a lot of people around as well, if we have to go attend a sports day at my kids' school, we're absolutely free and open to do that, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you strike the right balance, right? If you think of your job as a 9 to 5 regular day job, then you can't strike a balance, because then you're thinking, I'm going to go 9 to 5, and then I'm going to go at 5 o'clock, I'm going to leave and then give my time to my family. That's not happening. That doesn't happen on a regular basis. What does happen on a regular basis is some days, your kids might need you to be in their school till 10 o'clock in the morning. Then you go to work, and then you're at work till 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, right? Or some days you're coming home early, you're spending some time with the kids, and then you have to take a few calls and do some more work afterwards at night when the kids are in bed. So that's where you kind of strike the right balance, not by thinking of your job as a 9 to 5 kind of job.
So it's less rigid and more flexible.
More flexibility. That's the key. The more flexible you are, the company is going to be equally flexible.
Okay. And in addition, do you recommend your field of work to students? And in the future, do you think it is a market that will grow or decline?
Well, look, there are a lot of things happening in the industry. The field is a growing field. And guess what? The next big thing in the world is artificial intelligence, right? Where do you think the data for artificial intelligence comes from? Okay, artificial intelligence cannot be artificial intelligence without the data backing it up. And that's where, this field is extremely exciting, because, if you read reports in the market, artificial intelligence is going to be 1,000 times bigger than the internet as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at that, the basis of that is data behind that. So yes, extremely exciting, good opportunities, and a lot to do.
Speaking of automation and AI, how do you see these advancements affecting your industry's landscape?
It's changing. Artificial intelligence is now, Google, for example, the difference is Google you ask a question and Google gives you an answer. Artificial intelligence is a little more. Artificial intelligence doesn't just go around the internet and look for an answer for you. It creates content. It gives you that content, right? So if you can thoroughly use artificial intelligence in the right way, you're not just gathering information from one place or the other. You are actually creating good content.
Sure.
For yourself and for the industry. That's where artificial intelligence is going to help dramatically by creating content in the industry.
Okay. And as an overall view of the industry, where do you see it going in 10 years' time?
It's going to be interesting, right? Next 10 years are going to be very driven by the entire artificial intelligence boom. We just spoke about it. And artificial intelligence will change a lot of things within the media industry, within the financial industry, within a lot of industry, right? To give you an example, earlier when you had to write news stories, right, a person had to physically go in and write a news story. Now, you don't need a physical person to go in and write a news story. Artificial intelligence can spit out a news story automatically, okay, but you do need a person to go and validate it and then to make that analysis of how this news story affects something else, right? That is what's going to change. So people will have to kind of upskill themselves dramatically and go from just, hey, I just want to collect data, I just want to write a news story, to, hey, the artificial intelligence will collect the data, the technology will collect the data, then it's about how to go in and analyze that data, how to make the right decision with it. So that's going to change.
Okay. And if you were to start your career over again, is there anything that you would change? Would you stay in the same sector?
No, I wouldn't change anything actually. If I were to start my career all over again, no. I mean, I've had a lucky career so far in having to work in different areas, different markets, different regions. And if there's one piece of advice that I'll give to anyone is please don't be afraid to make that change, to make that move. Okay, so if you get an opportunity to move from one country to the other or from one place of expertise to the other within the same firm or different firm, make that change. Don't be afraid to do it. That will help you a long way.
Okay. And speaking about you, can you tell us a bit about yourself, such as your interests, skills, and what do you like to do outside of work?
Well, I'm a kind of a boring person, right? Outside of work, a lot of my time goes into just thinking about new ideas and the new way the industry is heading, how data is changing the world. I read a lot. I consume a lot of electronic feeds and information, data, news, all of that. So I do a lot of that personally. And the rest of my time, I have 2 young boys right now. So the rest of my time goes
the family,
keeping them out of my way and my wife's way. So that's the way it is.
Okay. And lastly, do you think you could share any resources or organizations that students can explore to learn more about your industry?
There's no particular one resource at all,
Sure.
but I would subscribe to, the usual stuff, right? Economic Times does a lot of good things over there. Financial Times, the Harvard Business Review, all those things are out there in the market. There is no one particular resource that I can think of right now that caters completely, but that's a great business idea actually. Somebody should come up with a resource towards this industry. But if you find out, let me know.
No worries,
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Mr. Halela. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Akshay. Appreciate it. It was great talking to you.
Well, that's all we have for today's podcast, ladies and gentlemen. A big thank you once again to our guest today for agreeing to be a part of this podcast. And until next time, this is the Switched On Podcast.